as a real estate investor, usually coming in, you think, oh, this is going to be passive income until you buy your first property and you realize, oh, no, there's nothing passive about this. So, my question is that truly a passive income in real estate? And any real estate investor who knows that, hey, my investment is not passive, it's actually active, how would they truly transition to passive leveraging 1031 exchange? Thank you for joining Wealth, Legacy, and Property. On this podcast, we talk about how to leverage real estate to build more wealth and leave a lasting legacy. I'm still with my special guest, Dave Foster, who is a qualified intermediary. If you've watched our previous episode, he touched on a few ways that we can maximize our return on our real estate investment properties, including even our primary residence. We are going to continue on that conversation. Thank you, Dave.
Awesome to be back here continuing the discussion.
Thank you. Let's dive deep a little bit. Would you, and I guess you did mention in your book, what do you think, or do you believe consolidating a portfolio using 1031 exchange is more powerful than diversifying? The reason behind that is I do have some clients who get uncomfortable putting all their eggs in one basket, right? What would be your recommendation based on your experience?
Great question. A lot of it is going to boil down to what the individual investor's comfort level really and they're at in their own life cycle. You understand this really well. You're not the same investor today that you were yesterday.
No.
And you're not the same investor that you're going to be tomorrow.
Correct.
So our needs, our desires, our goals, and our abilities are all different wherever we're at.
Right.
And also at the same time, though, the real estate market changes as well.
True.
And the type of investing that works in one market doesn't work in another. What's making the type of real estate that's making the most returns in one part of a cycle isn't in another. So it really comes down to that. What I love about the 1031 exchange is it will let you do whatever the market is telling you, and it will let you react to wherever you are. So let's talk about that. I call him the accidental investor. This is really a prototype. We're getting married older and older in life now. Many times when we get married, I might have a house. My new spouse might have a house. Well, we're only going to live in one.
Right.
So we turn the other one into a rental. And voila, we're real estate investors. That's great. And a couple years later, we're going, we like those red checks. What if we were to sell this property and go buy two?
Right.
And we'll use the 1031 exchange so we won't pay tax. A couple years later, we sell the two, we buy four. We sell four, we buy eight. We're having a great time until something happens, Patrick. I wake up one morning and I'm just tired. Why am I tired? Because I got 20 gajillion properties.
Yes.
And I'm on phone calls, and my life doesn't support that. That's when it's time to start consolidating and selling 4 or 5 properties for $100,000 each, and use them to go buy one $500,000 property.
That makes sense.
That's the ebb and the flow. Or you mentioned we talked about California in the first episode.
Right.
Regions, their taxes are.
Oh,
California is probably the single highest appreciation state that there is as well. So even though you don't make a lot of cash flow on your rental, the appreciation is usually huge.
Right. Usually, yeah, I get it.
Right. So around about 2014-ish, I had a ton of investors who were leaving San Francisco in the Bay Area
Mm-hmm.
where property had just inflated incredibly. And they were all moving their portfolios following this guy named Elon to Austin, Texas.
Yep, I
And they were
remember.
dirt really cheap and
Mm-hmm.
dirt cheap properties. So they were taking high value properties, diversifying into
Mm-hmm.
large numbers of cheaper properties because they could take advantage of those inequities in the market.
Right.
So those are all good reasons to consolidate, to diversify. There also comes a time earlier rather than later where we start to realize that we've got some other priorities. We've started a young family and it's time to start building memories.
Yes.
So we will move into vacation rentals because we can not only generate income, but we also get to use them to build. And for our higher net worth folks, there's an added bonus.
Okay.
Vacation short term rentals can be treated as an active employment for purposes of depreciation.
Nice.
In other words, you get to deduct all of that in active participation.
Nice.
Short term rental, it's not passive. Huge
Right.
benefit for high
Yes.
net worth individuals. So, those are all reasons why you might do that. Ultimately, though, as we get older and older, we've got more money and less energy. So, moving from active to passive is really a key to keep interest going. I will probably invest in real estate all my life because I enjoy it so
Me,
much.
me too.
But you got a few more years, I can see, of
No,
heading
I'm just saying that I'm admitting that I'm going to keep investing in real estate for the rest of my life, period.
Exactly. But I will admit, I'm at a stage where I
Hmm.
don't have nearly as much fun beating down walls and putting up drywall. So I'm
Yes.
looking more for the passive opportunities
Right.
because I can still use what I have learned to underwrite and evaluate real estate opportunities.
True.
That's almost as much
True.
fun.
True. It's interesting you talked about passive, right? It's two folds. We watch YouTube or the social media, invest in real estate for passive income. Oh, it's easy to get you the cash flow, right? You did touch on a few things, but I only want to focus on one, right? As a real estate investor, usually coming in, you think, oh, this is going to be passive income until you buy your first property and you realize, oh, no, there's nothing passive about this. So, my question is that truly a passive income in real estate? And any real estate investor who knows that, hey, my investment is not passive, it's actually active, how would they truly transition to passive? Leveraging 1031 exchange. And I know you also touch on this in your book. Can you educate us on that?
Right. So I would say that there's no investment in the world, real estate or otherwise, that's
Hmm.
truly passive.
Right.
Even if it doesn't take hands on, it's still going to keep you up at night thinking about it. So there's
Yes.
always going to be a
Yes.
level of active thought over
Involvement.
action, right?
You're right.
But you can determine the level of action that you have to have. Real estate, where you're changing the toilets, fixing the light bulbs, collecting the rent, that's
Yep.
as active as it gets.
Yes.
You want to come one step down from that, you get to the point where you hire a property manager.
Yes.
Now, that is still not passive
Nope.
because you still have an employee, a
Yes.
property manager. So
Yep.
you're managing an employee and you're managing finance. Now, you can go one step further than that and buy into, say, a number of vacation rentals. And you have systems of automation and you let companies like Vacasa, Verbo, Airbnb manage a bunch of the processes, but you've still got some activity that you
Yes.
have to do.
Right.
Now, you can go into something like a REIT, a real estate
Hmm.
investment trust,
Right.
but I got a caveat by saying that is not actual real estate. Is what
Nope.
it's not. It
Yes.
doesn't qualify for 1031 treatment because
Yep.
it's considered an equity and not real estate. So
Right.
you can't 1031 it, but it's a stock where the company buys real estate. So
Yes.
let's call it a real estate investment. Well, you don't get to manage it. You don't get to make decisions. You don't get to do anything about it. That's
Mm-hmm.
pretty passive.
Right.
But you're watching the stock price every day to see when it's time to sell.
Right.
You're looking at their annual reports. So that's pretty passive, but not really. Triple net commercial investing is fairly passive because what you're doing is you're selling all those single family homes
Mm-hmm.
and you're buying one large commercial property
Mm-hmm.
where a national credit tenant like
Okay.
Verizon or some have Amazon paying all of the taxes, the insurance, and they're doing their own maintenance.
Right.
So you don't have to do any of the property itself.
Right.
The leases are typically 10 to 25 years.
Right. Okay.
So you're only managing basically a lease. That's
Yes.
pretty passive. Entirely passive. Ask anybody that bought a Sears building a few years ago. Things happen. There's nothing that's truly passive, but you can
True.
control. Most of our clients, the most passive they will get is going to be going into triple net commercial called Delaware Statutory Trusts. These are fractional ownership of one asset, not like a REIT where they own thousands of properties. DST owns an apartment complex in Baton Rouge, a medical center in San Francisco, Amazon distribution center in Chicago. And they own that and they manage it. But you are a passive investor as if you bought a REIT. But because
That
it's
makes
set up
sense.
with DST, it qualifies for 1031 treatment. This is what you get. The four components of the internal rate of return: cash flow, the cash flow of the operation. You get continued depreciation.
Right.
You get the amortization of the
Yes.
loan as the
Right.
tenant pays it off.
Mm-hmm.
And you get your share of the appreciation.
Right.
Every 4 or 5 years, they're sold. It becomes a little active for you because you get to do a 1031 exchange and you can either buy more or maybe interest rates drop back down to 2% again. So you decide to 1031 back into regular assets. Again, that ebb and flow of the 1031 exchange, where you could go active to passive to active, large
Mm-hmm.
numbers to small numbers to large numbers, anywhere in the country. And I don't think we've touched on this, but it's been inherent. Any type. So if you think single family homes are a bad investment and you want to buy multifamily, 1031 into them. If you want to move from multifamily into commercial,
Mm-hmm.
1031. Any type of real estate at all.
You touch on something that I've been thinking about for some time now, right? My basic knowledge about 1031 is pushing my tax obligation on the capital gain down the road, right? So let's say I keep doing 1031 exchanges, right? Will it ever catch up to me when I decide to sell or when I decide to pass on that wealth to my kids, my great grandkids, and stuff like that, right? And I guess I'm trying to lean into the legacy piece of this conversation. Can you educate us on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Here's what a lifetime would look like. Remember, we said as long as you continue to 1031, you never pay the
Mm-hmm.
tax. So
Right.
you start out with your first property and you start using the deferred tax every time you sell, increase your returns.
Right.
You use it throughout your life, you use it throughout any part of the real estate cycle, and you finally retire. And remember, we talked about how you can transition into retirement. So
Correct.
you're still living tax free.
Right.
And then finally, you die. And that is, I like to think, the second best way of eliminating the tax. It can't be my favorite but we're all going there, Patrick.
Right.
So let's discuss it. When you die, your heirs will inherit your real estate
Right.
as if they paid market value for it on the day you died. In other words, they get
Okay.
what is called in accountant speak a step up in basis. So
Okay.
if I buy a property for $100,000 and I sell it the next day for $100,000, how
Mm-hmm.
much did I profit?
Zero.
So there's no tax.
Mm-hmm.
Your heirs inherit your property as if they paid exactly what it's worth on the day you died. In other words, then you keep deferring and then you die for the 4 Ds of 1031 investing. You will never pay the tax. Your heirs will never pay the tax. Your estate will never pay the tax. I'd call that quite a legacy.
I get it now. Would you recommend in situations like that, you put all those properties in a trust or just leave them the way it is, maybe under your name or under?
Well, the problem is going to be that there are a number of different types of trusts. There are
Correct.
certain trusts where you will put your real estate into, and it
Mm-hmm.
acts as if you sell it, which means your heirs will not get a step up in basis.
Oh,
There's
I
certain types of
see.
trusts where they become a beneficiary. So you
Right.
just got to be very careful because it's assets that you own when
Correct.
you pass away. So
Right.
what most of our clients will do is they will simply create holding scenarios, the holding companies that they
Mm-hmm.
are the member of, isolate and protect themselves, but
Right.
where they still own the asset.
Yeah, so the reason why I'm asking is there's a lot of information out there, which most of them are also not accurate, right? That's where the confusion comes in because trying to protect yourself, there is this going on that you want to first start with your trust. Then underneath your trust, you have your holding company and also maybe an operational company. In my situation where, yes, I have my corporate gig, but I'm also a real estate investor and a realtor, right? So an holding company to manage my properties, put my investment in, and an operational entity that is actually doing the real estate agent activities, including even property management, because I also own a property management company, right? So there is some confusion there. That's why I was trying to flush that out. Because at the end of the day, like you said, everything that we are doing, we have to pass it on to the next generation. So it's better to know how to plan it well. And as an accountant, of course, you are the best person to start that conversation with in terms of estate planning, right? On the tax side of it, right? So we can dive slightly deep into it, but I want us to stay on 1031 for now. So let's say I'm a new investor. I have no clue of how to go about my first 1031 exchange. I am interested. What are the requirements? And what is among all those requirements, what's the most important requirement that most investors tend to overlook when it comes to 1031?
So the single most important requirement
Mm-hmm.
is that you use a qualified intermediary. They have to be involved prior to the closing of your sale. Well, first of all, the 1031 is all about advanced planning.
All right.
As soon as you're starting to think about selling a piece of property, you should get involved with a QI to
Okay.
start to understand the process and
Mm-hmm.
let the process adapt to what you
Mm-hmm.
want to do. Absolutely.
Okay.
That's number one. Now, there are two timing requirements. You have
Okay.
45 days to identify your potential replacement property, either closing your sale. You have a total of 180 days process. Now, 180 days doesn't feel like it's all that long. Actually, that feels fairly long. And it is, unless what you're trying to buy is a new construction. So you sell your property in June, you've got 180 days, and you want to buy this property that's being built. Let's just say it's in Southwest Florida. and they swear it's going to be done by November. So you can meet your 180 days, and then a hurricane happens. You don't have a choice. 1031 just went out the window.
Right.
So these are no joke deadlines that have to be met. The 45-day deadline, though, is probably the second most problematic because you've only
So quick clarification. So the 45 days is on top of the 180, right?
runs at the same time. 45 and then another 135. So at the end of day 45, your list cannot be changed. So if you
Okay.
name 3 properties on it, one of them burns down, one of them sells to somebody else, and you don't like the third one, you're out of luck.
Is there a limit on the number of properties you can add to your list?
Theoretically, no, but practically, yes. As long as you name, this is deep weeds here, as long as you name 3 or fewer, but it doesn't matter what they're worth. So you can sell a property for $100,000 and identify 3 $5 million properties. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Just remember, you got to buy one of them. If you
Right.
name more than 3, one of 2 things has to happen.
Okay.
Either the total value of your list is no more than 200% of what you sold.
Okay.
So you sold for $100,000, you can name 4 properties, but their total value can't exceed $200,000. So if you're trying to buy a bigger asset, that's going to be really problematic.
Mm-hmm.
The other option is if you name more than 3 properties and their total value exceeds 200% of what you sold, as long as you purchased every one of the properties.
I see.
So the rule is if you're going to buy an asset that's bigger than what you're selling, you got to stick to 3.
That
If you're
makes
going to
sense.
buy much smaller properties and diversify,
Right.
you name more than 3, but be careful.
Okay.
And
Makes
one
sense.
other trick that people don't know about necessarily until we tell them is that the clock starts with the closing of your sale. You have to your sale before taking title to your purchase, but you can be under contract for your purchase before your sale closes. So let's say you got your old property under contract, and you're 30 days from closing.
Mhm.
Perfect replacement property. Go ahead and get it under contract.
Okay.
So close them close together.
So in essence, it actually makes sense to find, I guess, first to compile your list, right? Whilst your property is on the market, right? Depending on your state, it could happen that you can sell your home in, let's say, 30 days. Let's say 30 to 60 days, depending on the demand and even the pricing of your home, right? So I'm trying to be a lot optimistic here with the 30 to 60 days, right? So in this situation, I just need to make sure that just to be proactive, I just need to make sure that by the day that I list the property, I'm already have a good candidates, right? Or potential homes I want to buy, because it all boils, like you said, or you keep saying, it all boils down to the timing, right? Because on the day that I close, let's say, for instance, I get a cash buyer who is offering, let's say, 15 days to close, right? I should be realistic enough to know that on that day that we close, the clock starts, right? So I should have my list ready and best case to be on contract.
Absolutely.
If I plan on doing the 1031.
Yeah. I like to tell people the best thing you could do is take care of the hard thing first.
Okay.
It's a seller's market. Go find your new property first.
Right.
Because you're going to have an easy time selling your old property.
Right.
So get your property for contract, then sell your old property to that cash buyer with a 2-week close.
Right.
If it's a buyer's market and it's hard to sell your property, that means there's more properties available to buy. So take care of getting a contract for the sale of your old property first.
Okay.
And up your new property.
That makes sense. This is a good segue into market downturns, right? From what I've read in your book and my understanding, someone leveraging 1031 exchange doesn't necessarily have to worry about market downturns, right? So how can someone profit in such a transition, right? Meaning using 1031 exchange as a weapon to maximize on their return, a decline in the market.
Great question. Most people a lot of people, okay, people will still remember 2007, 2008,
Yes.
the Great Recession. We
Yep.
call it the dark days.
Yes.
And you're absolutely right. All of my investors who did not have to sell property never lost a penny, because it doesn't matter what your real estate is worth as long as you are making your payments and generating cash flow.
All right.
So you just wait.
Right.
It always comes back. And that's what they did. Now, if you are in a position, and this is my caution to everybody, if you're in a position where you are too highly leveraged,
Yes.
and you have to sell a piece of property, well, not only might you lose all the profit that you've been deferring, but you might sell it so that you can't even cover the loan. And I saw that happen to people. As a matter of fact, I had a very few clients who would sell a property and they would actually have to bring cash to the table and still do a 1031 exchange.
How does that happen though?
Because there was still more profit than what they owed, because they had to
Okay.
refinance. That is,
Okay.
those are bad, ugly days, but they're also an opportunity. Just a second ago, how can I benefit from that kind of scenario when the market
Right.
corrects?
Right.
You have low leveraged investment real estate with a ton of deferred tax.
Right.
And when the market crashes, you just get your refinances ready.
Okay.
And as soon as the market turns around, you don't sell, you refinance, and you
Okay.
start buying properties for bottom dollar.
Interesting. In this case, what would you advise investors to, when it comes to exit strategy? What would you recommend in terms of how investors should think differently? They compare May 2025 compared to, let's say, 2015 or 2007, you stated. How should they think and operate differently?
You know, we had a chat box for people to write in what they think, because I'm as confused as everybody else is. Incredible appreciation happening in a lot
Right.
of higher interest rates have not come down yet. There's a lot of stock being built, but that's slowing down because
Right.
oil prices spiked. So it's
Right.
kind of, the market's giving us mixed signals.
Mhm.
So the best thing that I can say is a strategy to consolidate your equity. And
Okay.
then wait. The companies in the world, whether it's Berkshire Hathaway, Microsoft, Apple, the first thing they do when they start anticipating a market correction, cash, because there's going to be buying opportunities.
Mhm.
That I don't know if it's going to go deep. I don't know if it's going to go forever, but I know that there's going to come something that's going to
Right.
cause the real estate market to soften. And when it does, I want to have cash on hand. And
Right.
here's how you do that with the 1031 really easily, Patrick. Let's say
Okay.
we had 5 properties. I'm going to say 100,000 because it's easy math. But I'm going to
Right.
sell those 5 and I'm going to buy one $500,000 property.
Okay.
By consolidating. Well, a
Right.
couple years goes by and now it's 2025. And I sense that there's some opportunity, but multifamily is still very high.
Mhm.
I sell my $500,000 multifamily. Now, I still owe $200,000 on it.
All right.
So one of the other requirements is that you have to purchase at least as much as you sell. That would be 500,000, and you have to use all your equity,
Mhm.
300,000, to do that.
All right.
Well, when I had 5 properties, I had very little equity all over the place.
Mhm.
Sell that $500,000 property. I'm going to take $250,000, and I'm
Okay.
going to go buy one piece of property for cash.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to take the other $50,000
Mm-hmm.
and go buy one property with 80% leverage.
I see.
So did I purchase as much as I sold? Yep. Did
Yeah.
I use all my equity? Yep. But
Mm-hmm.
look what I've got, a 250,000 free and clear property that
Mm-hmm.
if 2026 the market did that, I'd just do a refinance. Pull out $200,000 and go buy some of the cheap properties. If you've got equity, you're in a great position to withstand any sort of a crash. But
Right.
the mantra you always have to have is, I never judge my net worth by the value of my real estate on paper.
Oh, yes. There is a topic, something that keeps coming into mind. Since we are deferring taxes on capital gain, some investors may be aware of cost segregation because we cannot talk about 1031 without cost segregation. How does cost segregation works best with 1031?
Yeah. So, in a nutshell, first, cost segregation simply means that you're looking at your real estate and you're
Mm-hmm.
saying that it's made up of just real estate, which is called 1250 property.
Okay.
It's made up of non-real estate. That's called 1245 property.
Right.
Real estate would be kind of but there's also certain things like an AC unit, a
Yes.
water heater,
Right.
copper wiring that the IRS allows us to pretend are not part of the house. Now, why do they want to do that? Because real estate, you have to depreciate it over 27 and a half years.
Right.
You only get 1/27th of the value of the house. But if you carve out a unit, that might be depreciated in 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a way of getting a lot more depreciation immediately for you. Converts real estate to non-real estate. So the
Okay.
fear always was that when you then sell that at 1031 it,
Mm-hmm.
you don't get to non-real estate stuff.
Yes.
Pay the depreciation.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, the IRS sort of cleared the air.
Okay.
And that as long as property you are buying
Mm-hmm.
has a similar non-real estate stuff, it can all be into the new property. So if you're selling a property that you've cost segged out,
Mm-hmm.
just a single, and you're buying a single family house, it's got similar property. You're not going to have any issues. Your accountant's going to help guide you through it, but
Okay.
it's an easy matter. Where that really important is in particular when we're talking to our higher net worth individuals,
Yes.
because they need the extra depreciation.
Yes.
And in particular, I see this on just about every short-term rental.
Okay.
Because that's active participation. So not limited to the amount of depreciation that they get to take.
That makes sense. Let's say I buy an investment property today. How soon can I do a 1031 exchange?
There's no statutory holding period.
Okay.
So you'd think I do it immediately. But there is this weird thing where the IRS doesn't tell you how long you have to hold it,
Mm-hmm.
but they
Okay.
tell you that you must be able to demonstrate that you bought it with the intent of holding it. So the standard
Okay.
isn't the length of time, the standard is your intent.
Okay.
So if you see a piece of property that you could fix up and sell,
Mm-hmm.
well, that makes our jargon a fixer flipper, right?
Right.
Do 1031 exchanges.
Okay. Because that was going to be my next question,
Aha.
actually.
Yeah, because their intent was not to hold the property.
Okay.
But that being said, if you bought the piece of property, you hired a property management team, you had a
Mm-hmm.
rent sign in the yard, emails with your accountant, setting it up as a rental property on your books, and somebody walked in while you were working on it
Mm-hmm.
and said, always, would you sell this to me now?
Mm-hmm.
Were you intending?
Yes.
No. Well, no, you really weren't, right?
Well, initially I wasn't. Right. Initially.
To hold it. So
Right.
what was your intent for the 1031? To hold so
Mm-hmm.
you could do a 1031 exchange.
How do I demonstrate or explain to IRS that after buying today and in 3 months' time, I had to sell? Yes, my intent initially was to hold. As you stated, with that buyer who made me a good deal and I want to do 1031. How
Sure.
can I convince or tell IRS that my initial intention was to hold it?
Right. So the first thing to understand, and this isn't an excuse to do it, but you want
Okay.
to understand that you're not going to be audited for
Okay.
a 1031 exchange.
Okay.
If the IRS audit you, it's going to be because of something else.
I see.
But then
I
they'll
see.
look at your 1031.
Mm-hmm.
How can I demonstrate that my intent was to hold and
Mm-hmm.
then something caused my intent to change?
Right.
Well, could be the things we already listed: written documentation
Okay.
between your financial advisors,
Okay.
hiring the property management company,
Okay.
the
Okay.
for rent sign in the yard,
Mm-hmm.
take a picture,
Right.
the advertisements,
Right.
advertising it for rent. All
Right.
those things can help.
Okay.
What if the property be next door, a meth lab? You hang on to the
Right.
police reports.
Right.
Of course, I intended to hold it, but no way am I going to hang on to a rental. How about the property? You could demonstrate that the property was not for sale, it
Mm-hmm.
was for rent. That's called an unsolicited offer to buy.
Okay.
All of those things help to demonstrate your intent. There's
Okay.
no comprehensive list. It's what's your past history? Have you sold 20 houses and always they were rentals? That's your past, which is different
Right.
than you're a fixer flipper where the last 20 houses I owned for a month. You're going to have a tough
Yeah.
time
Right. Right.
demonstrating. But hey,
That makes sense. That makes.
flippers can do it though. Instead of buying, fixing, flipping,
Mm-hmm.
buy it, you fix it, you rent it.
Right.
Then once you've rented it, you refinance it.
Right.
So you can use the refinance money to go buy your next flip project
Right.
while that
Right.
one seasons. Just
Mm-hmm.
about everybody feels comfortable with holding a property more than a year.
Right.
So you hold that property for a year, and meanwhile, you've got two others backed up that are
Right.
waiting.
Right.
Now you're to sell that property
That makes
and
sense.
use a 1031 exchange to go buy two new ones.
That makes
And
sense.
you just keep doing that: buying, fixing, renting,
Mm-hmm.
refinance, and then repeat the process.
Nice.
I have a few clients that will do 20 or 30 exchanges a year.
Okay.
They are fixer flippers as far as the day is long, but they are only selling properties that they've owned for a year.
I see.
So the 1031 exchange is no problem. They
Okay.
just have enough volume that they're
Mm-hmm.
plenty busy with their fix and
All
flip
right.
model. All they did was slow it down a little bit.
Yeah. That makes sense. Thank you so much, Dave, for this. I have one more coming up. I've gained so much knowledge on these two episodes. It's crazy. The others are even the best strategies to help, going back to and leaving a legacy. I really appreciate you making time for us today, Dave.
My pleasure.
Thank you. So, and yeah, this is